up, wrestling fans? It's episode 2 of Revenge of the Marks. Remember to always respect the mark. I am Dane Campbell.
And I am Damian Black.
And we appreciate you tuning in. It's our second episode, as we mentioned, off the heels of the WrestleMania weekend, which was our first show. It went over really well. Thanks for downloading and supporting that. I think I can speak for my boy DB over here and tell you that we had a phenomenal weekend, and it was just as much wrestling as we could possibly handle.
Too much wrestling. No, there's never too much wrestling. But it was a lot.
It was a lot. You know, there may not be too much, but it was right there. But
right there. I think it was the fact that we had to constantly drive home, and it was silly.
Yeah, exactly. And then getting out of the arena is like a pain in the ass. But anyway, you know about that. The nachos are
it was on the last episode.
But before we get into the topic of the day, which is the Superstar Shakeup, we do want to mention that we're on social media. You can like us at facebook.com/revengepod. Follow us on Twitter at revengepod. And go ahead and subscribe to our YouTube page, Revenge of the Marks Podcast. And go ahead and subscribe on iTunes too. And while you're at it, real quick plug, give us a rating and review if you don't mind. Just take a few minutes to do that. It's extremely helpful for us. So yeah, this show is getting off the ground, and we hope to bring you more goodness today. Got an interesting topic, lots of developments in the WWE, roster mix-ups, shake-ups, change-ups, and we got all of our thoughts and opinions on that. So, yeah, man, you know, since the time we last recorded, we obviously broke down WrestleMania and Supercard, and there was a ton of other wrestling going on over that weekend, of course, being WrestleMania weekend. Now, in the time since we've recorded, a lot has happened. There have been a lot of developments, a lot of stuff in WWE. And,
yeah.
And, in the aftermath, immediate aftermath of Raw, we can kind of talk about that a little bit, because the next night we saw Bobby Lashley, Ember Moon. We saw the Authors of Pain come up. I mean, a lot of NXT call-ups, some big shocking returns and surprises. Well, maybe not shocking necessarily, but definitely welcome additions to the roster. And then, of course, this week we had the Superstar Shakeup. So now that the pieces have kind of fallen into place, what do you think about these two rosters that we have with Raw and SmackDown?
Well, I think that right now, out of everybody, like SmackDown's got probably the best lineup right now. I mean, I'm not, they did bring some people in for Raw, and they got some new people. I'm so happy that Bobby Lashley's back. I love Ember Moon. She's probably one of my favorite female wrestlers just because of her finisher alone, but she's also a really great wrestler. You know, she came from Houston wrestling over at Booker T's school. So, I mean, she knows what she's doing. But I just feel like out of everything, like SmackDown probably has all the strongest people right as far as right now, because you got Samoa Joe over on SmackDown, you got the Bar going over to SmackDown, you know, the Miz going to SmackDown, which I can't wait for that. That's probably like the biggest thing that I'm ready for the Miz and Daniel Bryan so bad it's not even funny.
I think you and a lot of people are, man.
Right? But no, I like the people that have went over to Raw too. I'm not saying that, I just feel like the way that the whole shakeup went, I just feel like it was like SmackDown got the best of it, Oh,
I think there's no question about it. I also think that it was kind of a necessary move, because when you look at ratings and house show attendance and things like that, they got gutted last year, because if you think about the shakeup that happened in 2017, they lost The Miz, they lost Dean Ambrose, they lost
they pretty much lost a lot of people that were like
a lot of their top guys. Yeah,
right.
And so, I guess they finally decided to move some of that main event talent over to the SmackDown end and kind of bolster the women's and the tags divisions as well. But
Right.
I don't feel like Raw really lost out that much either because
No,
they got
I mean
some.
they still got Braun Strowman. You still got Roman Reigns, and like I said, Bobby Lashley and Bobby Roode being there is probably like going to be a big
Oh
factor in the
man, you
whole
just gave me an idea. They should be a tag team called the Two Bobbies, should they
the
not?
two Bobbies.
And Bobby Hill could be their manager. Oh man,
Oh
that
god,
would be
that'd be
great.
funny as hell.
Yeah, he'd make his he'd make his belly talk and his booty too. No, but no, man. I think the for Raw, the real story is the call ups and the returns. You got Lashley, and then I'm sure you probably saw this, but Drew McIntyre
Yeah, Drew
came up,
McIntyre came out.
and he
Yeah,
got a huge ovation. And I'm actually kind of
I'm
intrigued.
interested to see how him and Dolph Ziggler are going to do. I'm taking it they're going to be a tag team.
Yeah, I
Um,
agree.
I kind of like that little finishing move that they did with the zigzag and the big boot thing.
Oh man, that was awesome.
What is the
The Claymore.
Claymore?
Yeah,
Yeah,
they timed
that
that.
was all. That looked so good.
Yeah, I'm excited because obviously Dolph Ziggler is a guy that we talked about quite a bit. He's he hasn't really gotten a lot to work with in recent times, and just being paired with Drew McIntyre automatically kind of gives him a rub. So I'm intrigued to see what they're gonna do with that. It's funny. I've seen a lot of people on the internet kind of compare them there because obviously a lot of people have made comparisons to Dolph Ziggler and Shawn Michaels, but they're comparing Ziggler and
Diesel and Shawn
McIntyre,
Michaels.
Diesel and Shawn. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's kind of
I thought that whenever I saw because I due to circumstances beyond my control, I do not have cable, so I do not watch programs.
you aren't missing much.
Yeah, but I do watch the highlights and all that stuff, and I get my little phone updates, so I know what's pretty much going on the shows. But after watching some of the highlights, like right at the end, it was mostly like right at the end when they both, kicked the crap out of Apollo Crews. That I looked at him, and that was the first thing that popped in my head was Shawn and Diesel.
Yep, that's it.
You know,
Before we know it, they're going to be curtain calling at Madison Square Garden. It's going to be awesome.
killing kayfabe again.
Who,
God damn it.
who's gonna be the 1-2-3 kid? I got my money on TJP.
Yeah, the brand new click.
Exactly.
Oh, man.
And then of course Bobby Roode is Triple H because reasons.
Reasons, yeah.
They've always kind of they've always kind of resembled each other. Bobby Roode could be like Triple H's little brother to me.
Yeah, I think so, a little bit.
But
Yeah, I see it.
another interesting pairing that came over to Raw is Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. I think a lot of people saw that coming.
Well,
but-
yeah, that was definitely coming. I mean, they're not going to fire him. They're like the two biggest heels that, like, they probably have.
Definitely.
At least Kevin Owens. Kevin Owens is an awesome. I don't know. I kind of like Sami Zayn being a heel too. He's doing a really good job as a heel.
Yeah,
So, I
agree.
mean,
I would argue that Owens and Zayn are probably the two biggest jumps from SmackDown to Raw and the whole shakeup.
Yeah.
But my question is, do you think that they'll continue to be a duo, or are they going to split off again and fight forever?
No. I think they're going to stay.
Yeah.
I think they're going to stay a duo. I feel like the fight forever thing is kind of wore its welcome.
Yeah, right. Maybe
least for now.
okay, guys. We don't really want you to fight forever,
Right, exactly. I feel like I like them being the best friends that they are.
Right.
It's kind of a good little. Now, whether or not it becomes vice versa, I feel like they should, because the one thing that I hated was the fact that they cut the whole the Jericho and Kevin Owens friendship too short, for one. But they also did the same thing with him and AJ, too short. Jericho and AJ. I feel like they don't do anything long term anymore. When you watch the older product, it seemed like it was like these certain things happened for a long, long time. Before they decided to pull a plug on a change, like whether it be one of them gets a heel, decides to turn heel, or one of them decides to turn face, however it goes. But I feel like if they do decide to do that, where they're going to split up Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn, I feel like they should possibly put Owens as the face and let Sami run as a heel.
I think so. I would agree if they're going to go that route, that would be the way to go because not only is Kevin Owens pretty popular to begin with, but also it's just something, if they're going to go that route again, it's time to do it in a different way.
In an opposite way.
But
I mean, there's so many things that you could do with Sami Zayn and all that stuff. I mean, he had the Generico, gimmick in Ring of Honor and all that stuff.
The generic
possibly go in the back. Yeah,
But
save that for another time, though. I feel like maybe like if he gets fired, they save it for like if he becomes a heel and he gets fired and all that stuff, and then he comes back as that.
Oh man, that would be awesome. Yeah, and I agree. I think it's better to keep them as a team right now, just from the basis. Think about this, okay? Raw just lost arguably two of their best teams. They lost the Bar. And they lost Gallows and Anderson, who weren't really doing much, but even still, that's a legitimate team that you lost from your tag team division. So now you're left with, no disrespect, but you're left with, Breezango, you're left with Titus Worldwide, you're left with Matt Hardy and Bray Wyatt, the Revival. You got some.
Honestly, I like the Bray Wyatt and Matt Hardy.
I like
thing.
it too. I do too. But they got to have guys to go against. You got the Revival who they
guys to go against. Well,
they just beat the Revival.
Keep Sammy and
Kevin
Owens as a tag team, and then they did get like I said, they got the added addition of Diesel. Well, I said Diesel, son of a bitch, Drew McIntyre and Dolph Ziggler.
Yeah, which I like that, but I think you got to keep your tag team division strong, and I think right now, obviously, I don't think either Kevin or Sammy are going to be programmed into a top spot because you still got Brock, you've still got Roman, you've still got Rollins and Balor and Braun. Did I say Braun already? Anyway, regardless, you got a lot of guys.
I don't think you said Braun. Maybe.
I don't know, but you got a lot of guys at the top, and so I don't see
big boys and some.
So
decent size.
Exactly. So if you're not going to go that route, why not put them in the tag team division, give them something to do, and keep the division kind of robust and strong? And
right. So that way, and there's nothing wrong with tag team wrestling. I like some tag teams.
I'm really glad.
I just don't think what I'm tired of seeing though is these goddamn 5-man tag teams or 10-man tag teams. All that bullshit.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Too many people tagging.
I did like the way that the 10-man tag ended on Raw, where
that one was good.
That was fitting. Where the Miz Taraj turned their back on the Miz, knowing that he would be jumping brands and they'd be left on their own. So I thought that was cool and poetic, and I enjoyed it. But in general, I would agree with that. I think there's too much hodgepodge clusterfuck booking, and I think most fans out there would probably agree with that. But I think that Owens and Zayn as a team is a good move. I wouldn't split them just yet if I were WWE. And like you said, there's absolutely nothing wrong with tag team wrestling. I mean, there was a time in the 80s when you had the Rock and Rolls and the Midnights, and tag team wrestling was a huge draw. And I think we could
tag team wrestling was probably the best thing during that time.
It was hot, and I think we could get back to there. We got a lot of really solid, good teams on the roster that just need the spotlight the same way that they're doing with the women. Showcase that division the same way that they're doing the resurgence of the Cruiserweight division with 205 Live. I think we need to keep the focus on the tag teams, and I think it's going to be a good thing for everybody involved. But anyway, so
you're right. I feel like a lot of attention has been put on the women, which is rightfully deserved. I mean, the women do need to shine a little bit more than what they used to, but you're also making it all about them instead of the whole product, the product as a whole,
Right.
And sometimes that just it I don't know, it feels like nothing else matters,
right? Well, and
which is the way that it just seems to be. It's like nothing really matters. That's why people aren't caring about shit. They care about their dream matches and they care about certain events that happen and all that stuff, but everybody's watching this women's division and they're trying to make sure that these women are actually, better than the men and all that stuff. And it's kind of, because think about WrestleMania. It was like once when the Charlotte Flair and Asuka match happened, and then the Ronda Rousey. I mean, everybody's pumped about Ronda Rousey. It was like Ronda Rousey and the Ronda Rousey, Kurt Angle, and Triple H and Stephanie match. Once when that was done, everybody just didn't give a shit no more.
Yeah, I
You
think
know,
it took
it
a lot
was
out of the
almost like
crowd.
they came and seen what the hell they wanted to see,
I don't know if that was
and
it so
that was it.
much. I think it was a mixture of a lot of things. It was a really long
Plus, it was
card, so I think yeah,
yeah,
we were worn out, because of the ups and downs throughout the night, and I think that was probably part of the reason why AJ and Shinsuke didn't deliver the way that a lot of people thought they would. The crowd wasn't as into it as they might have been under other
right,
circumstances.
yeah,
I think it was also not to retread on that because we talked about it already, but
yeah.
I think it had a lot to do with the fact that they knew where they were going with the heel turn and they knew they had more matches down the road, and so they were trying to set the stage for a longer program with that. So I kind of get it. But anyway, so moving on, we got a few other big call ups on the Raw end. You kind of brought up the
Yeah.
women, so we got Natalia over on Raw now, and they're kind of teasing a program with Rousey.
I like that. I like that idea. I mean, Natalia did train Ronda Rousey,
Yeah, and I know you're a Natalia fanboy, so I
and
figured
I
you'd be
love
excited about
Natalia.
that.
God, I'm such a freaking heart fanatic. It's not even funny. Anybody who came from the dungeon to me is a legitimate badass.
Man,
So
you know what? I'm jumping ahead a little bit in my notes because I wanted to kind of go through everybody and talk about them, and then kind of get to some fresh matchups I'd like to see. And I have one on here with Natalia in it, but I'm kind of intrigued by that move. I think it's time for it's time for Natalia. She did get a little run with the women's title, kind of a transitional run where she dropped it to Charlotte at SummerSlam
right,
last year. But I think overall, she's still got a lot left in the tank. She's got a lot left
she's yeah,
to
she's
give.
still she's still young and she still can do whatever. She could still work. She still works, and I think that this time, her being on Raw, I feel like they need to push her,
Hmm.
especially with Ronda Rousey behind her and all that stuff, or even her behind Ronda Rousey, however it goes. I just feel like they need to do something more with Natalia because Natalia has been there busting her ass for these women, and I mean, yeah, she did get the shot in on SmackDown, but at the same time, it was like here and there. It was like there and
Oh, yeah,
gone.
hot and cold, and that's kind of the
Yeah,
way that she's been booked throughout her entire career.
I
And
like the fact that she's doing the face thing. I mean, I like her as heel. She's really good as a heel too, but at the same time, I just feel like she's more of a face person than anything. If anybody can get over as a face, it's definitely her.
I mean, obviously, if she is programmed with Ronda, she's gonna, Ronda's gonna probably steamroll
Oh
her
yeah.
and just move on from there. But I hope that Natalia does get another run with the women's strap, maybe on Raw, because obviously you've got Alexa Bliss, who's probably the number one heel in the women's division across the board. But I
Yeah,
feel like
awesome.
but I mean, I think that there's definitely room in there for her to have a prominent role and work some great matches, and she's got some fresh faces to work with and some matches that I don't believe we've ever seen before. Now, another intriguing move to me is maybe possibly the dark horse of this whole situation is Chad Gable coming over to Raw.
I am excited and a little bit worried.
I know what you
I'm
mean.
excited because I've seen him in the ring and I know what he can do, and he's just awesome as far as like a wrestler can be. But I'm worried about him being on his own.
Yeah. I think that it can work. I think that he needs a little bit of maybe not necessarily a repackaging, but he does need some kind of fresh angle. He's got the ring work is there. I think it's the character.
Yeah,
I think he needs. Yeah, obviously, he's kind of a smaller guy, and not. I mean, the whole roster is smaller compared to the way it was, 10, 15 years ago. But still, even compared to that, he's kind of a smaller guy. So he's kind of got that underdog vibe to him a little bit, but I think that there needs to be some element of the character that's missing. That if he can put that together and get himself over, then I think he'll do really well because he's obviously got the ground game down pat. But,
No, I agree. No, I do agree. I agree.
Yeah.
His ring work is great.
Yeah.
I just don't know if he'd be like I said. I'm worried about it.
Yeah. Well,
I'm worried about it because,
it's,
but at the same time, it's like with him being on Raw, even if it doesn't work, you can always have a American Alpha reunion.
yeah, you could see that. I mean, American Alpha, man. To me, they just never got over the way that they should have on the main roster, and I think they didn't really get over with the casual fan as well as maybe they did with the hardcore fans. You know, they kind of had that throwback.
The people that watched NXT and all that stuff. Yeah.
Exactly. You know, they had the kind of throwback gimmick to the Steiners where they had the colorful tights
Well,
and everything.
I honestly, I mean, I don't even feel like that. I feel like they were on SmackDown. They were doing a little bit good. They were doing kind of well, but then all of a sudden they decided they were going to do that angle with Kurt Angle, haha. But
Yeah.
with him being his son, and I was just like, why?
Well, a lot of people felt that
had
way.
a really good tag team. I mean, you did. I feel like they didn't give him time
Right.
to warm.
Well, I mean that's part of it too. They didn't really. I mean, they were only a team on the main roster for probably a little less than a year. To me, though, obviously before Jason Jordan went out with the neck injury, they were kind of teasing him being a heel. Eventually, supposedly the plans were for him and Rollins to work at WrestleMania, but then the neck injury kind of put the kibosh to all of that. If Jason Jordan does come back and they continue to tease that heel, to me, put them feuding together. That would be the thing to do in a singles program, because then they could kind of show people what they can really do in the ring, and that might be what it takes to get them over. And
right, exactly.
And then of course you got the story that's built in with them, being tag team partners and best friends and all that good stuff. And so I think that could work really well, and I think that could be a solid Intercontinental title program right there. But, obviously we got the Riot Squad over on Raw, and I feel like that whole experiment has kind of been a failure. They haven't really. I mean, I don't know if it's the girls or just the booking or what.
You know what it is? You want to know what killed it?
What's that?
You want to know what killed that? The fact that they were second.
Yeah.
Because Absolution came first, and then they came right after it the next day.
Yeah, it was like the same. It was like cut and paste booking.
Yeah, it was exactly the same thing, and then people were just like, no. And the only reason why Absolution got better or was better than the Riot Squad, well, is because of Paige.
They had Paige, yeah, exactly.
People
knew Paige.
They had Paige. They had a face that everybody knew and everybody actually cared about. And not to mention she just came off the whole sex tape thing.
Exactly. That's always gonna up your stock in the.
Definitely gonna up your stock.
I guess unless you're.
They say they're not using that Playboy motif like they used to back in the day, but they're lying with paint.
It's ratings, brother. Yeah, and of course they got the movie. They got the movie coming out. I wonder if they're gonna go into that whole thing in the movie.
Nah,
I doubt it. The whole fight with. I wonder if they'll go into the fight with her.
You never know.
Yeah. Maybe she'll get into a fight with Alberto El Patron, who's played by, I don't know, like Enrique Iglesias in the movie, and book it, make it happen.
Make it happen.
No, but yeah, the Riot Squad. I think it's time to split those guys up and let them go on their own and do what they will. But and then of course see what shakes out, because I think all the girls, have potential on their own. It's just a matter of this whole team thing is just bringing them all down, I think.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. It's just a weird situation. I agree with you though that they do need to split them up and just let them be their own selves.
Yeah, I think it's past due, and I think that
Or if you're gonna do anything, goddamn it, make a women's tag team division.
Yeah, I could see that. Nowadays they've got enough women. I mean,
they got enough women in there to do tag teams. It's time to let's bring some more belts in and make tag team belts for women.
Yeah, dude. Let's have like 38 and a half belts.
Right, exactly.
Let's make a welterweight belt. Let's make like an internet championship.
God.
And then of course you
And then
got
it's like, and you see, I feel like, and then I feel like that's what that right there is the reason why nobody gives a fuck about who's the champion anymore. You
yeah,
know, you have too many goddamn belts.
it's kind of
It's
like
kind of like
it's
it's
like
kind of like the coach giving away all those trophies at the end of the
yeah,
fucking season because you did a good job. You
yeah.
know, they talk about power rankings, but it doesn't really fucking matter because they don't do things by the system of the old territories where if you did this, which I mean, granted, everything is fucking. We all know that wrestling is predetermined, but I mean, I know back in the day they still kept everything to where like if you did a good job, you would bump up to where you can actually go.
Well, and it's like, back in the day, the way that they booked was if, I mean, a heel can lose clean in the ring and not be hurt because they'll do something after the match to get their heat back.
Right, to get that heat back,
Whether it
right.
be an interview where they claim that, the sun was in their eyes and their shoe was untied, as JBL would say, or,
I like that. That was good.
or they would, rough up the babyface after the match and go from there. But, I mean, regardless, obviously we've kind of talked about the 50-50 booking thing in the past, and that's definitely been an issue. People are overexposed. There's a lot of television out every week, which is why I think the brand split is necessary because, it was even worse before when you had the same rosters on both shows. And,
Yeah.
so at least, people are a little less exposed now being, relegated to one show.
I don't know. I feel like honestly, it's just it's starting to get to the point where there's too many people on both shows.
There's a
You
lot of
know,
talent, yeah. And then I mean, you got
there's a
NXT.
lot of talent, and I get it. I get it that everybody wants their shot to be on the main roster and do their thing, but I don't know. I feel like if anything, you should probably. I feel like NXT should be the third show, but make that just keep it as a network exclusive only.
Yeah,
You
I mean they did do the TV. They did an episode of NXT that was on USA a while back, and apparently it got decent ratings. So I could
Yeah,
see them.
it did get decent ratings.
On the one hand, obviously you get revenue from being on USA with the television rights, but then on the other hand, you could argue that NXT is a big part of why a lot of people have the network. So it is, it's a money making endeavor for the WWE one way or the other. But
Right.
I don't know. You're right about one thing though. There's a lot of talent out there, and obviously as fans, we like to bitch about so and so isn't being used right, and this person is losing too much. But at the end of the day, you got to kind of take a step
And the
back and look
reason
and
why,
realize
yeah,
there's so many
is
fucking
because
people.
there's just too many fucking people in the roster.
Exactly. When you have 100 guys and they're all great in the ring and they're all, athletic and acrobatic and beloved by the internet crowd, it's like, well, okay, not everybody can be on top. You know what I mean?
Right, exactly. Everybody can't have the fucking title, and then, and then everybody gets upset about the fact that, like, Roman Reigns is fucking trying to be champion and all that. Which, in a way, after WrestleMania 34, I understand why people are pissed. You got to realize, wrestling came from a carny background.
Right.
It came from the carnival. It started in it kind of had that carnival mentality, and it still does. It still has that carnival mentality, and I think that's why Vince McMahon is the way he is about certain people and about like talking about Roman Reigns and all that stuff. I mean, you got to remember during the carnival, you always had somebody that was the champion, the main face of that little part, that little promotion or that little wrestling thing. And whenever they go into certain places, he was either cheered or booed.
Right. Well, and I mean
It all depends.
that's how Vince has always run his business. There's always been
Right.
a top guy. You can have a kind of a revolving cast of top guys around him, but there's always going to be one top guy, whether it's
Top guy, right.
whether it's Hogan or Austin or Cena or even
The Rock.
obviously there were times when they were in a transition and it was Shawn Michaels or Bret Hart, but either way
Right.
there's always a top guy, and come hell or high water, Roman Reigns is that guy. And the thing about it is, a lot of fans like to say, "Oh, Roman isn't over." He's getting booed by the face. But the thing is, dude,
No,
he's
he is
fucking
over.
over, dude. He's over.
He's over as
Look-
shit
look-
because they're talking about him.
Exactly. He's getting a huge reaction everywhere he goes, and he's moving merchandise. He's, when he's at a house show or when he's on TV, the ratings go up. When he's at a house show, the attendance is up. I mean, Roman Reigns is over. Like, make no fucking mistakes about it, whether you like him or not.
Right. And it's mostly casual fans, but the casual fans love him, and the hardcore fans don't, and it will always be that way because hardcore fans are just used to a different mold. Yeah. We're used to a different type of person. That's because we grew, and I'm going to say I'm a hardcore fan too because, I grew up watching ECW. Yeah. I grew up watching people like Rob Van Dam, who wasn't the big people beating the crap out of it and becoming the champion, We liked it, and everybody's always talking, especially WWE, they always talk about, oh, well, the underdog will always get it. It's not about underdogs. It's just about the fact that we know that these motherfuckers can wrestle.
Right. So picture this for a second, if you will. So remember the whole reason that Roman Reigns got shit on in the first place was because of that Royal Rumble where everybody thought Daniel Bryan should have won, and he got tossed out early, and Roman won the Royal Rumble. So ever since then, it's been like Roman Reigns.
Or was it that one, or was it he didn't show? No, it was that one, yeah.
Roman goes heel, and then they work like they work one-on-one champion versus champion. That would be
pretty cool.
That would be huge. I mean, they've worked before, but cool. They worked before, but it's like, obviously before they were battling it out to be the top guy, and if they were both the top guys on their respective brands, I feel like that would be a good story.
Yeah, that would be a really good story. You know what I feel like? You know what else I feel like though?
What's
and
that?
This is more on the subject of Raw and SmackDown as the shows, and not so much of the people in there, but the Raw and SmackDown thing and the ratings and all that stuff. I feel like being Monday and Tuesday is too fucking close.
Yeah.
Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying go back to Fridays. Maybe Thursdays would be good.
Yeah.
But I just feel like there's too much wrestling.
Yeah.
And so, especially when you have a fucking pay-per-view
right
the night before Raw, and you got Raw, and then you got the pay-per-view, you got Raw, and then you got SmackDown. And I just feel like everybody's so tired of seeing all these wrestling shows at the same time, and that's why they're not getting ratings, and that's why certain people probably aren't getting, they're not getting the understanding of certain wrestlers the way that they should, is because they're so fucking tired of watching wrestling.
Yeah, no. I feel that. I really do. It kind of goes back to the same thing about WrestleMania running like 7 hours long, because everybody want to get everybody on the card. I get it, because obviously Raw being 3 hours makes the company a lot of money, and having 2 live shows a week probably brings the company a lot of money in television rights and all that good shit. They did like the NXT style where they basically, they cut both shows down and didn't have all the guys on every single week, and kind of worked opposite where, okay, we're gonna do some angles to promote some matches for the upcoming event one week, and then the next week we'll do others. And SmackDown has kind of done that to an extent, and I think it's worked well for them in the past because... Well,
that's because SmackDown's a shorter show.
Exactly.
I feel like if anything was to do... If you were to do that, then it needs to happen to Raw.
Dude,
Raw is so goddamn long.
There's no television show there's no television show in the history of the universe that has needed 3 hours a week. You know what I'm saying?
No. I remember back in the day when we watched Raw. First, it started off it was an hour show, that came on USA, and that was the beginning part of it. Yeah. And then it grew into a 2-hour show. And the only time they'd have like a 3-hour show was like if they had a special event. Exactly. Like whether it was like they had like it was the tribute for the troops, or maybe like Raw made its 100th episode or something like that. It was like, that was the only time they ever did 3 hours. It was just a special edition of Raw, 3-hour show, and all that stuff. And now it's just too goddamn long. And I feel like we got off topic because we were supposed to be talking about the goddamn people who came.
No, that's all right.
Here we go ranting again. I'm going heel. Fuck.
Yeah, exactly. It's all good, man. I'll just if you want to step down off of that soapbox, I'll go ahead and dust it off and put it away for you.
Please do that.
Yeah. So
back to what we were talking about originally, which was the shakeup.
Yeah, man.
Which is more important than our fucking views on what the hell goes on with the damn
Hey, but
company.
that's what this show is for, my friend. Okay, we got Baron Corbin coming over to Raw. Do we think that this is gonna finally be his breakthrough moment? Because we all know that Vince has a big boner for Baron Corbin, apparently.
Well, if he had a big boner for Baron Corbin, he wouldn't have made that stupid ass decision to make him lose the Money in the Bank contract.
Oh, I think that was a slap on the hand because of some backhanded remark he made about concussions or something like that, according to the dirt sheets.
Eh.
But long
I don't
term,
know. Would you consider us the dirt sheets? I don't feel like we're the dirt sheets because
I ain't no dirt shit. I'm not doing fucking Dave
I
Meltzer.
listen to a few, but not too much.
Yeah,
I sure the hell don't get 4 stars or 5 stars or however many stars. I just like to watch it. So,
yeah, exactly.
but no, I don't know. I feel like it's kind of like, okay, Baron Corbin is kind of maybe going to get a redo. He's going to get a mulligan by going over to Raw.
Yeah.
Where, I mean, but everybody's done that. You got to remember, Triple H did that after the curtain call.
Right. Yeah, you get punished for a little while, and then
he had a big push. He was having the big push of his life, and then the curtain call happened, and unfortunately, he was the only one to blame. So they put him, down. They put him down, made him lose until he finally made his way back.
Yeah. I think it's the same thing. I think a long-term Corbin is still gonna end up, on top. But obviously, he kind of had to earn his stripes a little bit and pay his dues.
Right.
And that's all well and good.
Yeah, I mean, you made a mistake of saying the wrong thing, and shit happens. But I mean, no. But I like Baron Corbin. I've always liked Baron Corbin. I like Baron Corbin in NXT because he's a really good heel. He gives you that sense of I really don't give a damn.
Exactly.
Yeah. And I feel like he if they do it right again on Raw, then I feel like he could probably get a really good push, and he'll probably make a lot of believers out of people.
Yeah,
he's not a bad
heel.
wrestler.
No, he's not.
And he's not a bad wrestler at all. So I and that's a lot of things though. I mean, a lot of people sit there and they bitch about I don't like him because that's good. You're not supposed to fucking like him.
Yeah, he's a heel. Exactly.
You can't deny the fact that you can't deny the fact that he's not a good wrestler. He's got 2 really good fucking finishing moves.
Oh, he really does.
Or a signature move and a finisher and all that stuff.
Yeah, he's got a presence. He's got a badass entrance, and he in a day and age where a lot of the heels are more over than the baby faces, he's a guy that actually goes out and gets heat, and that's something that some guys just can't do.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, I get it. I totally get it.
And speaking of Baron Corbin and all this stuff, I saw something on the one of those YouTube things. I don't know which one it was, but one of them said something about, I didn't actually watch it, but I saw it. It was talking about Aleister Black was the way that they should have booked Baron Corbin, or he does
he's a better version of Baron
Black
Corbin, basically.
Is pretty much a better version of Baron Corbin. I'm like, no, Aleister Black is a baby face right now, and he could probably never get. I'm not saying he couldn't get over as a heel, but I see him being more of a presence like the Undertaker than
almost borderline like a
badass heel of any kind.
Yeah.
It was probably the most opposite way. Like, if you're gonna put those two together, they're completely polar opposites.
Yeah.
So
I totally.
I just feel like.
I mean, there's some similarities, but they're not the same by any means.
They're not the same in any way. I mean, but honestly, I like Baron Corbin. I think that he's going to do well in Raw. At least I hope they do well in Raw.
I mean, you got a crowded top level scene like we kind of talked about earlier. You got a lot of big hosses, whether you're talking about Brock Lesnar, Braun Strowman, or Roman Reigns. But I think that he might be one that has struggles to find his niche a little bit. But I mean, apparently, Vince sees a lot out of him, and that goes a long way towards having success in WWE. So hopefully, it works out well for him.
Right. I think he's going to do fine. Honestly, I felt like SmackDown was not exactly the best place for him to go, unless they felt like he just. It's weird. It's like SmackDown. I feel is like where the people who should go to the main roster but still need time to work, that's where they go, SmackDown.
The B show, baby.
And then if they pass the test, then they go to the Raw. You know?
I kind of get what you're saying. I feel like for a while Corbin was doing really well on SmackDown. You know, when he first came up, he was being kind of built up slowly, and then by the end of the year,
Well,
he was kind of flirting with the WWE title picture. Had a few title matches and worked with AJ, and you know, eventually won the U.S. title and the Money in the Bank briefcase. But
I feel like they just buried him a little bit with that Money in the Bank.
mm-hmm.
It was like he was doing good, and then they pretty much said no,
Cut his legs out from under him.
cut his legs out from under him, and he lost the Money in the Bank. And you know, and that's kind of a weird thing too, because most people who do the Money in the Bank normally get the title.
Yeah, he was only.
There's been a few occasions
Yeah,
where that never happened.
like three
I think
that I can think of, including
Yeah.
Corbin. So, I mean, it has happened.
So, yeah, it has happened, but not as much as them winning has. You
Right.
know.
Well, because I mean, from a logical standpoint, you know, you're going to cash in at the best opportunity for you. So it doesn't make sense for, you know, I mean, obviously it's going to happen every now and then for a shock value, but
Right.
generally speaking, it wouldn't make sense for you to screw up like a basically guaranteed opportunity to win the title. You know what I mean?
Nah.
Let's talk about some fresh matches that we've got on Raw coming up now that we've had these events that have taken place,
Shakeups.
these movements, because there's a few fresh matches that I'd like to see now, and the one on the top of my list, if Roman Reigns is not the guy and he isn't the one that beats Brock Lesnar, or even if he is, I would love to see Brock Lesnar and Bobby Lashley, and I think a lot of people probably would.
Oh yeah, I mean, two MMA fighters who were once pro wrestlers. I could totally see that, and I could totally see that being a legit fucking like draw.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like I could see that being that just feels like it could be real. You know, so I you know, I kind of like that idea. Bobby Lashley and Brock Lesnar. I'd like to see Natalya and Ember Moon.
Oh yeah, that would be great. I'd like to see Natalya and
That'd be a
Sasha.
good. Yeah, Natalya and Sasha.
I think
I still want to see a Bailey and Sasha that doesn't end in a fucking disqualification.
I think we're gonna get it. It's just it's been a slow
it's
build.
building. It's a slow burn.
How about Sami Zayn and Finn Balor?
Ooh, yeah, I think that would be a really good match.
I think that
would be awesome because
Yeah.
I mean, Finn Balor during the time that all that was going to, he was in New Japan.
Exactly. Yeah.
I don't know if they've ever wrestled on the Indies.
I don't know that they have.
But
I could be wrong.
I could be wrong too. I'd have to check into that. But no, I think that would be actually a really good match.
Yeah.
Sami Zayn versus Finn Balor.
How about Bobby Roode and John Cena?
I feel like they could have had that on SmackDown.
Yeah, they could, but now that Cena's a free agent, so he can go either. But we've seen him on Raw a lot more lately than SmackDown.
Yeah, that's true. But now I feel like since the whole Undertaker thing is kind of over, I don't know. They might end up going back over to SmackDown for a little while.
Yeah. Well, he might show up on the dating game now.
Yeah. Oh God, let's not talk about that. That's a sad subject. I feel so bad. I feel so bad for Nikki.
Yeah, man.
And that she had to live that horrible life with John Cena.
Yeah. Well, man,
I say that, but I mean, the man had his own little flaws.
He did.
I mean, he had his
really
own
did.
rules. He had his own right, because he got burnt the last time with his ex-wife, and I understand that. So I told my fiance Ashley, I told her about that, and she almost cried.
Oh no, yeah, she's like a total Bellas fan, isn't she?
Yeah, she's a total Bellas fan. She's
What's gonna happen with that show now? I'm wondering.
Oh God, there's no telling.
I mean, I'm sure they're gonna keep going. They'll make a story out of it, but
right. I feel like that might have been the whole damn reason why everything's just gone to shit.
oh, it could be. I mean, I can only imagine what that must be like to have every waking moment of your life filmed for a television show. I mean, I'm sure they're.
Especially in John Cena's house, and John Cena is a very particular person.
Right.
he's very, very particular, and it's really, really weird because even you can like see him in the show. He's just like, why did I put myself through this shit?
Hey, but to his credit though, I mean, I think that work ethic and that kind of discipline is probably kind of part of why he's gotten to where he has.
Yeah, it is, and it's also probably the reason why he fucking like heals so goddamn fast too.
Yeah, that's true. That's very true. And then the last match that I had on this fresh match list was now that we got Ziggler and McIntyre as a team, man, I'd like to see them go up against I mean, I don't know if they're gonna work together anymore once he comes back, but those two versus Ambrose and Rollins, I feel they would tear it up. That'd be a great tag team match.
That would be an interesting match. But on the subject of Ambrose, I don't know. I don't know. I feel like if he comes back, he might end up on SmackDown again. And just because they've gone on and like I feel like I'm not saying that they don't have a place to put him on Raw, but they might not,
Yeah.
So they might have more room for him on SmackDown for when he comes back.
Yeah, I could see that. I mean, I know they've kind of drafted people in the past that were injured and made a big deal of it before they came back, but I could see them, having him pop up as a surprise on SmackDown for a big pop.
Not just the fact that there's too many people, but I feel like it'd be kind of it'd kind of be redundant right now to actually put him back in there, just because of the way they've been booking a lot of things. The last thing we need is for him to come back and them trying to put the Shield back together,
Oh, I
because
agree.
I feel like that's done.
Yeah,
It's not. We had a little nostalgia and too many injuries and stomach aches and all kinds of stuff.
boo
Just
boos and
yeah, boo boos and whatnot. That
scab
just
knees.
made stop crying.
And,
Anyways,
well, no, and I could see them going that route because I believe in kayfabe it was Samoa Joe was the one that injured him, so I could see him kind of wanting to get some revenge coming back,
right?
to go after him.
It's Mojo. That would be pretty cool.
Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah, but I mean that would. But no, the tag team that you mentioned would actually be pretty cool. Like the tag team match that you mentioned would be pretty cool.
Yeah.
I would like to see. I think I would like to see those two, Dolph Ziggler and Drew McIntyre, maybe go up against Wyatt and Hardy would be interesting. That'd be an interesting match.
Yeah, I know it's funny because those are kind of like two hodgepodge teams, but they, obviously Hardy and Wyatt are getting over, and I think that Ziggler and McIntyre got a good response when they came back. So, it would be, I think the crowd could be into it. I really do.
Yeah, me too.
So, okay, so let's talk about SmackDown a little bit. We got Raw covered pretty well, and as we kind of have already mentioned, obviously SmackDown really they gave away some more of their mid card talent, and in exchange they got some more top level guys. I think that will really bolster their roster, and I feel like they got a really good crew of guys going forward. Hopefully, that's going to help them when it comes to some of the monetization aspects of the business when it comes to like ticket sales and ratings and what have you. So we'll see.
Right.
We'll see what happens with that. And then of course they got some pretty good NXT call ups too. You got Almas and Vega as well as Sanity.
Yeah.
You know,
I'm excited about that. I'd like to see how Almas does on the main roster.
man, he's been tearing it up, dude. I think he was a guy that was kind of lost in the shuffle a little bit when he first came into NXT, but once they turned him heel and put him with Zelina.
I think that's what it was. He just didn't. He hadn't found his groove, and once when he turned heel with Vega at his side, he became like amazing.
Oh yeah, dude. I mean, he's a superstar now. I think that he is gonna do some really good stuff, and I can see him, easily sliding into the the mid card, definitely the U.S. title picture. And, maybe down the road, maybe even working main events, because I think that, Zelina is kind of a heat magnet. She kind of reminds me of a Sensational Sherry a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit. A little bit, yeah.
So
yeah, she's definitely got that kind of that attitude. She likes to scream a lot, which I think is really good. So yeah, I definitely see a lot of that Sensational Sherry vibe with her.
Yeah. And then Sanity, of course, as a group, as a unit, I'm really hoping they book those guys, strong, because I don't think the gimmick is going to work unless they're like perceived as a legitimate threat to anybody that they choose to go after.
Well, I feel like if they're going to come in strong, they're going to go after the Bludgeon Brothers, or maybe not. Who knows? I don't know. But Sanity is one of those things where they'll take on anybody. It doesn't matter if you're a heel or a fucking babyface.
Yeah, I think that's part of the appeal, you know?
Yeah, because they're just fucking crazy. But no, I like that. I hate the fact that they didn't bring Nikki Cross with them.
Yeah, I know. I don't know what the deal is with that. I guess maybe because, you know, they lost. They just called up Ember Moon, and obviously she was probably the biggest, you know, star, and then Billie Kay and Peyton Royce as well. So I feel like they kind of wanted to keep a couple of big name women, you know, because Nikki could still have a women's title run in her, or at least, you know, have a shot at it. And then
she should have had it a long time ago when they had that 4-way between Asuka and all that stuff. Like that just.
Yeah.
During that time period, she should have had the fucking title. She was doing so good.
Definitely, she could have feasibly been that person.
Is she injured or something? Because I really haven't seen her on the programming.
You know, I honestly haven't been keeping up with NXT too much besides Takeover, and so I'm not really sure on that. But we might want to follow up on that.
I know. I need to look at that. I need to find out what's going on. Because, I mean, you know, for the past couple of takeovers and the past couple of, like, times that Sanity's been on there, even, I mean, granted, I mean, she's not going to be there during War Games, but, I mean, I didn't even see her on the program that night.
Yeah.
You know?
I don't know. I'm not sure about that. But we got those NXT call-ups, and then, of course, the big names like Samoa Joe, The Miz, and Jeff Hardy are probably the three big name, top level kind of guys. And I gotta believe now that Samoa Joe is on SmackDown that he's gonna be a future WWE champion now. I'm hoping that he's gonna finally get as long as he stays healthy and doesn't get hurt again.
But who's it gonna be after? Like, is it gonna be after Nakamura or is it gonna be after AJ Styles? That's the question. You know? Because, I mean, they got the feud running on with Nakamura turning heel and constantly punching AJ Styles in the balls.
That's his gimmick now. He's the
no speaking no English.
He's the sack tapper.
Yeah, he's the sack tapper. But yeah, I mean, I like it in a way. They need to do a little bit more with him besides just punching people in the balls.
I don't know, man.
Honestly, though, I do like I speak no English.
Yeah, that's pretty funny. And see, I would like to see him just run around and just hit random people in the nuts. Like not just AJ, not even just wrestlers. Like I want to see him just like I just want to see him stick the cameraman. You know, maybe go in the truck and catch Dunn with a nut shot. You know, that would be tremendous.
God. Yeah, that'd be kind of funny. That'd be funny. Then he becomes a comedian. And then that's kind of a bad thing.
Yeah. He changes his first name to Dick Kick Nakamura, you know, it would be...
Dick Punch Nakamura.
Yeah. I mean, the King of Donk style, you know, I mean, Joey Styles.
Oh, the King of Donk style.
Joey Ryan already has that, but, you know, we can make it work.
Oh, man.
But yeah, no, man, Samoa Joe, I'm hoping he gets a run with the title. And, of course, The Miz and Daniel Bryan is going to be...
The number one feud of all time. And you see, they did it wrong. I still feel like they did it wrong. I hate to say it. I feel like the whole thing in a nutshell should have been they should have kept the goddamn Intercontinental title on Miz. And they should have moved fucking Daniel Bryan to Raw. And that should have been for the title because that was the title that that Daniel Bryan had when he got injured. They had to vacate that title, and it should have been his main focus after fucking, like, him getting back in there. You know, getting back in the ring.
I feel that.
It should have been – that would have made the – I mean, because, I mean, granted, it's going to be awesome to see him have payback for all the – the talking smack incident and for being – well, I'm pretty sure did they ever have a match for him being a dick to Daniel Bryan during his NXT days?
They did. I think he actually won the U.S. title off of The Miz back in the day. This was like in 2010 or something like that. But
like I feel like honestly, this would have like the belt would have made it a little bit more important to me.
See, I do understand where you're coming from, and I totally get that. At the same time, I think this issue is so personal that it doesn't need a title. I think he just wants to get in the ring with the
Yeah, he
Miz
just
and
wants.
just tear
I
him
mean, well,
apart.
you do have the well, and I'm not saying that it's not that it being personal and all that stuff doesn't make it important, because it does. I mean, you had Miz who completely like made him look like an asshole and completely demand him like or
Emasculated him.
yeah, emasculated him on talking smack by calling him a coward and shit. You have that, but not only that, he took his fucking kicks from him. He stole a little bit of his move set
Right.
and all that stuff, and kind of was just playing it off. And he kept good, and he kept doing it. So I get that in a sense, but you got to remember, even back in the days when wrestling was like the best feuds and all that stuff had to do with a title. You know,
No, I
I
get
mean,
I get it.
even when it was personal, it still had a title involved with it. You
Right.
know,
Well, and it's on the one hand, I see what you're saying about the IC title kind of being the Miz's calling card and also being the last championship that Daniel Bryan ever held. That feud is going to be so hot. I could see them going at it over the world title if they were going to have a title
oh,
involved.
that'd be great. I would like to see Miz back into the world title
Well,
picture
I think
too.
I think he's earned his way back into that conversation just from the strength of the work that he's put in over the last few years.
The
He's really
promos and all that stuff. Yes,
yeah,
he's
exceptional character work.
his wrestling's gotten a lot better.
It
So I
has.
mean,
Yeah, he's put on some
I
great
definitely see
matches.
him going back in the title picture.
Yeah.
So
And I could see, I can almost see if Daniel Bryan won the championship, I could almost see him being willing to put that title on the line against The Miz just to have an opportunity to beat that ass. You know what I mean?
right,
So
exactly.
it could make sense from like a storytelling standpoint as well. Either way, whether there's a belt involved or not, I think everybody's going to have their eyes on that feud. It seems like he's kind of getting programmed with Big Cass before the Miz feud happens, based on what
I
happened on
like.
SmackDown.
I kind of like it. I kind of don't.
uh, I,
I like it. I like it from a standpoint that it's Daniel Bryan versus Big Cass and Big Cass come back.
yeah,
Okay, and I'm excited about that because Big
it's
Cass is
fresh.
awesome.
Yeah,
He's fresh. He's awesome, but he's just a really good. He's a good big wrestler.
yeah, he's a good
You
big guy.
know, he's a good big guy wrestler. He's a good powerhouse wrestler. And he's very, very like he can move. He can actually work in the ring. Uh, and I like it. I like the idea of him and Daniel Bryan going at it and all that stuff. The only problem is, even though I have my theory, if I'm wrong about my theory, I still feel like that fucking kick to the face is not exactly what, because the Big Cass's move is that kick to the face
Yeah,
and
man.
shit.
It's a big
So
boot. Yeah, I know. Yeah,
that's a big move.
you hate to see him take those head bumps. I mean, I know he's cleared and everything. It's like you just cringe though, because the last thing anybody wants to see is to see him put out again.
Like I
Um,
said, I have my theory about the whole thing, and I don't want to say it because I feel like if I say it, it's going to be one of those things that people are going to be like, "Oh, well, how can you say that?" That
well,
poor man. But at the same time, it's like, if he is hurt, like if that shit, is like there, getting kicked in the head like that is not exactly what the fuck you want to do.
no, I agree. I think I think it's a good idea that they're trying to make Big Cass a big deal right off the bat by putting him in with Daniel Bryan. I feel like it's kind of a sink or swim moment. Like, here, we're giving you your opportunity. You're going straight into a hot feud with the probably the most overworker on SmackDown, and
Yeah.
this is your chance, make it or break it. And I really
Yeah.
like that. To be honest with you, with Cass, I still think he's missing something. I don't know that he is gonna be at that. I mean, I think.
Honestly, I don't think Cass. Well, the thing about Cass is we never really got to see him
Yeah,
go far
yeah, no. I mean,
as a singles competitor.
he turned on Enzo, and then he kind of worked that program with the Big Show, and then he got out
He
hurt.
got hurt.
But I
Right.
mean, there's no doubt Daniel Bryan's gonna make him look like $1 million. You know, I mean,
Oh
just
yeah.
that's what he does. And obviously, being the little guy compared to Big Cass, it's you know, he's gonna bump like crazy for him and make him look like a
Really
killer.
good.
But
Right.
but the thing about it is, where do you go from there? Because I feel like once that feud's over with, unless he makes some kind of radical change or really steps his game up, I don't know that he is quite ready for that level. You know, and maybe I'm wrong. I think this feud's gonna answer that question, but
Well, then you also got to think about it. He did get injured and all that
yeah,
stuff, but he was out for a good while.
yeah.
And I feel like after his injury, he might have went and pretty much went to the performance center and kind of like brushed up on
Well, I mean,
everything.
I don't know.
So
I kind of saw the segment from SmackDown and I liked it, you know. But prior to the injury, Cass always kind of came off, especially obviously working with Enzo compared to Enzo being the mouthpiece of the team. Cass always kind of came off a little stiff, a little uncomfortable, a little rigid, and so I'm hoping that might be an aspect of his game that he's kind of improved on in the time that he's been out of the ring.
yeah,
Well, you know, I feel like that could go a long way towards solidifying him, you know, as being a top level talent. I mean, he is solid in the ring, and he's got the size and the look and all those things. It's just going to be a question of, you know, will the pieces be put together, and will he live up to what they seem to see for him?
I feel like I agree with you on that. He did seem a little stiff and all that. Um, I don't know. I think we're gonna watch a little bit more, see how he does with Daniel.
Hmm.
Um,
I think it's the right opponent for him right now, though, because I mean, you know, obviously one of the best workers in the world, and somebody that is a pro at making other people look good.
right, exactly.
So
So we'll see what happens.
yeah, yeah, exactly. I mean, there's still, you know, we're fresh out of this shakeup, so it's like we don't know what's gonna happen
We
with a
don't.
lot of the guys.
And that's the thing about it. I mean, a lot of the shakeup has a lot to do with like people. Some of the people we haven't seen in a
Choo
while,
choo. Big Daddy
like
Cool,
huh?
Big Daddy Cool in the background there,
Oh,
the train horn.
oh, yeah,
Yeah.
you get the train. I'm sorry, I
No,
didn't
it's
think
all
about it
good,
at
man.
first. I forgot I got a train. But no, yeah, you're gonna hear that for a little while.
No, it's all
Uh,
good, man.
But no, I feel like we got with Cass coming in. We haven't seen him in a long time, and we don't know where our feelers are for that. But that's the thing about the shakeup. A lot of this stuff is like we don't know
Hmm.
what's gonna happen from here on in because you got people. Yeah, you can sit there and say you want these people to wrestle and see how it goes and all that stuff, but the funny thing is that the only guarantee like match that I can actually see being a really good match from both sides is actually the fact that Samoa Joe is on SmackDown and him and AJ getting into it.
Oh, you know it's coming.
Yeah, and that's because of the match that they had on Impact
I'm
when they both
excited
worked
because
TNA.
you know it's
You
like
know,
they worked. That's actually in my list of matches that I want to see on the SmackDown side. You know, Joe and AJ worked a lot over their careers. Obviously, they're good friends and they go way back. And
right?
they've torn it up for 15 years now, just about. And
But
but
that's also like saying that I want to see Daniel Bryan and
in the
AJ
net,
go at it
oh
too.
yeah, yeah, exactly. You know, we've seen, but at the same time, I mean, this AJ Styles is on another level compared to that
Oh yeah,
AJ Styles. He's
yeah,
really come into his own and stepped his game up beyond. You know, he's at another level. And Samoa Joe, you know, he is another guy that's really been putting in some of the best work of his career in this last run that he's had in WWE.
right.
And so I'm really
Going through NXT and
exactly.
it kind of improved him a little bit more. I'm not saying that he wasn't great whenever he was working
Well,
Impact and all that
I
stuff.
feel like it brought his passion back because a lot of
Right.
people complained that Samoa Joe in TNA towards the end of his run was kind of unmotivated, and you could kind of tell that his heart wasn't in it the same way that it was at one time. And I feel like that passion is back. You hear it in that fire when
Oh
when
yeah.
he cuts those
When
promos,
he
and
cuts promos, he's so fucking like
he's fired
dead.
up.
Yeah, totally in it.
Yeah, so I mean, you believe this motherfucker's gonna kill somebody, but
Yeah.
he's very believable.
I feel like out of the new like he is a legitimate badass as far as it goes,
Hmm.
you know.
No doubt.
So
So yeah, that's a match that I'm looking forward to, and I'm hoping that Joe. No disrespect to Nakamura, I love Nakamura, but now that Joe's on SmackDown, I'm kind of like, man, fuck. I hope Joe's the one that takes it off of
Joe's the one that
AJ.
get, yeah, I hope Joe's the one that does take it off of AJ. I think it would be great to see.
Yeah, he definitely has earned that run, I think, and that would be a good capstone for the career that he's had. And a lot of people thought he'd never even make it to WWE, and now here we are, all these years later, and he's in the conversation for future world champion. Speaking of future world champions, another guy that is kind of a wild card is Jeff Hardy. He's coming over with the United States Championship,
Right.
and he's back on his own again. And obviously, Jeff Hardy has had a great run as a tag team wrestler, but I mean, he's also a proven single star, and now he's going to
Right.
get a chance to do that again.
Well, I mean, he was a proven single star before he left the company a
Yeah,
long time
definitely.
ago. Because he did what he was the world champion on SmackDown,
Right.
the SmackDown label, with
Yeah.
the WCW looking belt.
Yeah, the big
Uh,
gold.
yeah, he had a run with that for a little while and all that. So I mean, I could see him. Yeah, he's definitely getting pushed to becoming a champion as
Yeah.
well. But
And
that's Vince has always wanted that for him.
right, yeah. I
You
mean,
know?
he's kind of been his own worst enemy in a lot of ways, man. He's
Yeah.
always consistently been a huge draw and a big star, but
Right.
his
It
own.
was his own demons that kept him from keeping that
Yeah,
spot.
so much
You
so
know?
that they turned it into a storyline when they did the whole CM Punk feud, which was great.
Yeah, I remember that.
Really, really well done. But yeah, and I mean, even up until recently, obviously he had issues with the DUI that he got, but apparently that issue has been kind of addressed, at least because he's back on television and seems to be going forward as United States champion.
Well, I mean, I think the DUI was actually it was alcohol, it wasn't drugs.
Right, right.
So
A little different.
a little different than what he's and when you look at him on TV, I mean it's completely different from the Sting match.
Oh yeah, no, he's in a different world now.
He's a completely different person than what he was back then.
Yeah,
So
and I'm glad he got a chance to redeem himself because I mean he's given a lot to wrestling. Say what you will about.
no, he has.
I mean he's if you ask a lot of guys that are coming up now, who influenced them, a lot of them are going to tell you the Hardy Boys.
Oh yeah,
And
Hardy
specifically
Boys.
Jeff, just for all the Daredevil shit and all the crazy things that he did. That he's given a lot to the business, and so I'm glad he had a chance to redeem himself, and now he's having an opportunity to kind of give back, and I feel like he's gonna put some young guys over and help elevate them to another level.
Yeah. I like to see how he goes. I want to see him in the title picture too.
Mm-hmm.
But you know what the thing about it is like I feel like you can never have too many people going for the title. I mean, look back when you had Triple H and The Rock and Stone Cold. It's just whether or not you can believe that they're the like top guys to actually be in there. And I feel like between Jeff Hardy and Samoa Joe and AJ
Bryan.
Styles, you know.
Yeah.
Now Nakamura, I feel like he's working on it, and he can be because I've seen his work in New Japan, so I know he can be. It's just the whole barrier being in,
Yeah.
the
In the
American
States.
style wrestling,
Exactly.
right? The States wrestling compared to Japan wrestling. So, I mean, I feel like he can be. That's why I'm testing this whole him being a heel. I feel like that could be the way.
Yeah. He's definitely out of his comfort zone.
Right. Because I don't think he. I mean, he was. Well, no, Chaos was a heel faction at one point in time. So yeah,
but
he's
I
been
don't
a
think-
heel.
Yeah, but I don't,
I don't think
since
he's
he's been the Nakamura we know today, I don't think he's ever really had a heel run.
Yeah, that's true.
But
So
but yeah, I mean, I do think that it's already kind of more interesting. Like you said, it needs to be fleshed out and developed a little bit more. But obviously, working with AJ for the title is not a bad spot to be in. So hopefully, he'll come out of it even better than he did before, because a lot of people were kind of like lukewarm on his run prior up to WrestleMania. Really prior to winning the Royal Rumble, he kind of
right.
was kind of hit or miss. So we'll hopefully have a chance to see what he can do once he works as a heel fully. And yeah, I think he will win the championship eventually, but I don't know if it's going to happen right away now that we got Samoa Joe on
Well,
SmackDown.
I feel, well, yeah, with Samoa Joe being in the picture, but Samoa Joe's going after,
Roman
he's
Reigns at the
going
moment.
after Roman Reigns for Backlash, and hey, who knows? Maybe that could be, maybe, yeah. I mean, they swerved us once with the whole Brock Lesnar thing. Maybe they'll swerve us again, and he'll end up beating Roman Reigns and ended up going back over to fucking Raw.
Yeah,
Yeah,
stranger things have definitely happened.
yeah, no shit.
Yeah, yeah.
I
So
mean, if you're gonna put anything, like, if you can't, like, honestly, if you can't get fucking Roman over, you can get fucking Samoa Joe over, because he's already a fucking heel,
yeah,
you know.
Brock
But at the
Lesnar made
same
him look
time,
great.
huh?
Brock Lesnar made him look great on Great Balls of Fire too. I mean, he lost the
Right,
match,
I know.
but
So,
he
I
looked.
mean, I don't know. I just feel like, you can, if he's a plan B, then that, he might be a plan B for Raw. Who knows?
Maybe. Now, another big move to SmackDown is Asuka to the women's division.
And I feel like because I've heard some talk about that being like a really good thing, and I agree with it, because Asuka done killed everybody over on fucking
She
Raw.
really has. I mean, there's nobody left for her on Raw. I think this was and obviously having lost to Charlotte, you've got a natural rematch there down the road where she,
Yes,
tries to get a redemption. But she's also got some fresh faces on the SmackDown side to go through leading up to that as well.
but then what do you do? I mean, I mean, granted you beat her streak, but if you make her look like I'm not saying she can't look like a badass like she was
No,
beforehand.
she can, and I think she
She
will.
can, because I feel like if any, she should have beat her.
Oh, you think Asuka should have won the match?
No. I mean, if anybody was supposed to beat Asuka, it should have been Charlotte Flair.
Yeah.
No, it's as simple as that. So
And on that stage, I
feel
think it
like
was the right time to do it as well because, being at WrestleMania, I know you could say, oh, she lost at WrestleMania, but it's like, dude, if you're going to lose on the biggest stage. You know what I mean? Like in front of
right.
all those eyeballs and that's the time to make your moment, win or lose. And so I don't think that hurt her in any way. And,
Hell, it didn't hurt her at all.
no,
It didn't hurt her at all.
no, especially after the match they had. But on SmackDown, obviously you've got some fresh people for her to tear through and kill on that side, and
And
then
get to having the rematch for Charlotte.
exactly get her hot again, and then have that rematch, and then even have a rubber match down the road if Asuka wins this time, which I think she probably will.
I feel like if they're gonna do that, then you should have Asuka win the belt from Carmella, and then have it the other way around, where Charlotte has to go for the belt.
Yeah, the face on the chase. I can dig it.
Right. I feel like that would probably be a better booking situation than just going through them, and then they have a match when Charlotte has the belt. Because I mean, granted, I'm not, like I said, Charlotte is one of the best women wrestlers out there. So, but I feel like if you're constantly putting the belt on her, then because even Ric Flair had his moments where he lost and he had to wait a little while and then got the belt back. I mean,
Right.
granted, look at his track record.
Yeah,
I
he
mean,
never really held it for that long. You know what I mean? Like
20
he held it for
how much is it? 21 time world heavyweight champion.
Yeah,
I know they say 16, but he's held a belt fucking at least more than that.
oh yeah,
So
it has been longer than that. Um,
16 just seemed reasonable enough for John Cena to take
that's
over.
quite a lot, man. 16 is quite a bit. No, but I definitely agree that Asuka and Charlotte. Obviously, you got rematches there. That's gonna be a big thing for SmackDown. But and then of course you've got the people that she's worked with in NXT, like Billie Kay and Peyton Royce, and then you got Naomi, you got Becky Lynch, you got a lot of people on SmackDown. And then of course Zelina Vega. Is she gonna wrestle in the women's division, or is she gonna exclusively
Well,
manage
I mean, like I
almost?
said, I just watched the highlights for NXT with her and Candice LeRae. I think that she should. Honestly, I think she should wrestle. But I can also see her just being a manager as well. But I think she did well on NXT doing a wrestling bit.
To be honest with you, another thing about SmackDown is they got all this talent now, and that's great. But the question is, are they going to handle them right? Are they going to book them right? Because SmackDown in the last year, I think, has kind of struggled with, handling their talent, and the booking has been a little bit suspect at best. You know what I mean?
Yeah, especially with the recent ones where they were pretty much copy paste in Raw.
Right.
Um, I don't know, because you got to look at it like this. Regardless of what they say, whoever the general manager is, and whoever the commissioner is, it's still Vince McMahon behind the fucking curtain. He's still pulling the strings. And he's still the one that the writers have to go through before judgments are made, you know?
Right.
So, will we get the same shit, different era? Probably so.
Just real. Just being real.
Just being real. I mean, and I feel like that's just the way it's going to be until Vince McMahon either steps down or passes away. And I hope that doesn't ever happen anytime soon, really, because, I mean, it is Vince's baby. But I do feel like there needs to be some kind of change,
I know, man. It's I don't know what it is, but it's almost like they got all the talent in the world, and there's still something lacking. Just from an excitement standpoint. Obviously, you got WrestleMania, and you've got these big moments that get everybody talking and get everybody excited again. But generally, this is kind of the time of the year where things kind of take a little bit of a downturn as far as just
Right.
overall excitement, because they save all
Well, I
the.
mean, it's also we're building and establishing new feuds and new storylines and all that stuff. So,
It's a new
and
beginning.
sometimes it takes some time for those to pick up and all that.
Exactly. And I think that I like the SmackDown roster, and I feel like it's strong, and I think we're going to see a lot of good stuff going forward. Um, and I hope that we get some new stars kind of built up. I think they're trying some experiments, like with Big Cass and
Right.
bringing up some of these NXT guys to fill some of those spots. So I think that if they can commit to building up new talent, then I feel like it'll make for some exciting, compelling television. But it's just going to be a question of how those guys are handled, I guess.
Right.
Now, some of the fresh matches I'd like to see on SmackDown. I kind of mentioned earlier Samoa Joe and AJ Styles, obviously at the top of my list, but
Right.
and Daniel Bryan and The Miz is a no brainer. But man, how about this? What about Jeff Hardy and Shinsuke Nakamura? I feel like that would be an
Well, that would be
interesting,
interesting.
because they
And I
both
just think that would be more on the factor of character.
exactly. Yeah, I agree. I
Like,
think they're both kind of enigma characters.
yeah, they kind of like really they got this little craze thing going on. It's like they have like a little craziness going on in the back of their heads. Well, not so much with Jeff Hardy nowadays, but I feel like if he ever got back into his enigma character where he puts on the paint and all that stuff, You know, you haven't seen him do that in a while, but you know, he's got his single run back, and he might just start doing that again.
Yeah, you never know. It'll give Jeff Hardy a chance to wear the face paint, and it'll give Shinsuke Nakamura a chance to hit him in the nuts.
Yeah, there you go. There, bring it back to ball slap. Oh. Oh God, he's gonna be known for that for the rest of his life, isn't he?
If they keep it going.
Shinsuke Nakamura, the king of fucking ball slaps.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. But, man, how about on the tag team side, though? I like to see the Usos and the Bar go at it. I feel like that would be good.
The Usos and the Bar would go at it. That would be a really good match, actually. Considering how fast and how well the Bar has grown as a tag team, and we all know Jimmy Uso and Jey Uso are probably like the best tag team on the main roster, regardless of if the Revival is on the main roster or not. You know, they kind of
the Revival. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. The Revival's cool.
But no, Sheamus and Cesaro is they've grown as a tag team, and I feel like that match between them two, the Usos, would actually be a really good match.
Oh, I think it's gonna happen. I think it'll happen soon. And then the last match that I had,
I feel like Sanity is mine on that is going to definitely be Sanity against the Bludgeon Brothers. I'd like to see how that works out.
Oh yeah, that'd be cool. You know. Yeah.
I mean, the Sanity's kind of a Bray Wyatt-esque kind of stable, except a little bit more crazy, you know, and not so much religious stereotype driven.
Not so much voodoo swamp.
Swamp field. Yeah, all that feel to it.
Hawaiian shirts and fedoras.
But I feel like out of like those two, you know, or that group against the Bludgeon Brothers, being that they're from the Wyatt stable and all that stuff, I feel like that would be an interesting matchup. Not to mention they're all big boys.
Oh yeah, some old corn-fed motherfuckers.
Especially Killian Dane. God damn.
Yeah. That dude looks like he might have ate one of the Authors of Pain.
Yeah. Who I think is doing really well on Raw myself.
Yeah,
I think really good on Raw.
Oh,
we forgot about them. They came in on Raw and it's been kind of like kicking ass. I mean, they haven't been dominant like they were in NXT, but I like that. It makes, you know, and everybody's like, oh man, they don't make them look dominant like they were in. You know, the thing about it is,
win the fucking titles on their first night, and then what are they gonna do?
Well, it's not just that. You got to remember, the way I look at it is, you got to look at it like this: if you're gonna call up somebody from the minor leagues who's beat up everybody in the minor leagues, and they go to the big leagues, they're not gonna have exactly the easy run that they're gonna have.
Yeah,
in the big leagues.
You're dealing with bigger talent.
You're dealing with bigger talent. So you're gonna have these people who are gonna fucking, you know, give them a little bit of a fucking fight. I'm not saying that the people, because believe me, later on in the NXT division, when you got the Undisputed Era, like during the War Games, god damn, they didn't look weak, but they were getting their asses handed to them too. So.
Oh yeah, they were selling like a motherfucker.
Yeah, so I mean, you can't just sit there. Then that's another thing. Nobody's that's where the sports comes from, in the sports entertainment. Mm-hmm. You know, you got to look at it like that. NXT is minor leagues.
Yeah, I mean,
the indies. As far as WWE's outlook on the way the wrestling business and the wrestling world is that everything below NXT and even NXT itself is considered the minor leagues, you know?
Yeah.
And when they come in from there, they're not going to get the same kind of respect or the same kind of push that they were given in the indies or on NXT. You know, granted the Authors of Pain were big guys and they dominated and all that stuff. You're not going to get the same kind of results because there are big guys in the freaking main roster that are going to take care of them. I mean, it's, you know, that's just the way it is.
Right.
You know, you can't make NXT look stronger than the main roster.
No,
because that's
no.
developmental.
Yeah, that defeats the purpose of making them go
Exactly.
through developmental and work their way up in the first place. No,
Exactly.
I'm with you 100% on that. And the last match though that I had on my fresh matches, man, how about Asuka and Becky Lynch? Because I think that would be, I think she's the only horsewoman that Asuka hasn't faced yet.
Yeah. She's fought Sasha. She's fought Bailey.
Yeah, and Charlotte, of
She
course.
fought Bailey in NXT. So
Yeah, she won the title off of Bailey in NXT.
yeah, exactly. She fought Sasha. Yeah. So Becky Lynch. But I mean, I'd like to see it just because it's the last of the horsewomen, pretty much, before she can get to Charlotte and beat her.
Yeah.
Because if she does face, I mean, it's going to be a good match, but I still feel like Asuka's probably going to beat Becky Lynch,
Oh,
and
sure.
that's just because of the way they've been booking Becky Lynch.
Oh yeah. Poor Becky hasn't had a whole lot to do in a while.
No, she really hasn't. She really, really hasn't.
But hopefully that'll change.
Yeah, maybe with all of this new string of people coming in, I think this tag team match. I feel the tag team match with Charlotte and Becky and they're the Iconics now, not the Iconic Duo.
Yeah, they kind of changed it a little bit.
Uh, I feel like that's gonna be interesting to watch because I like the Iconic Duo. I think they're really good wrestlers.
Yeah, they're kind of like an Alexa Bliss to me. Like they've got more personality than a lot of the other girls on the roster, and that might actually serve them
True.
well. So, I mean, I guess overall closing thoughts on the Superstar Shakeup. I think we're in agreement that SmackDown probably got the better end of it.
Yeah, SmackDown definitely got the better of it. I'm not saying that Raw didn't get good talent, but I mean, I don't know.
Raw had more talent to spare. That's really what it boiled down to.
Yeah, that's really what it boiled down to. Because
And
I mean, like you said, they got Lashley and they got all these new people coming in from NXT, like Ember Moon and all that, so they could do that. And I feel like Ember Moon can totally take Asuka's place as far as being on the Raw. As far as being a dominant person on the Raw, or at least a capable
yeah, and having that kind
female
of
wrestler.
having like the colorful, flashy persona as well.
Right.
I think she's a good fit for that spot. Yeah, I don't think that Raw is hurting for talent or anything like that.
No.
If anything, I think their mid card has gotten a lot more bolstered. After the shakeup is said and done, but those top level spots that they needed on SmackDown are kind of filled now, and now I feel like both rosters are kind of more balanced than they were before.
Yeah, that's about the best way to say it. It's kind of balanced.
Yeah.
And I feel like now you can actually sit there and be like, okay, well, who's going to have the better ratings?
And well, I guess that's basically about all we got as far as that goes. Did you have any other closing thoughts you wanted to throw into the mix?
No, not really. I'm just really excited. I mean, I want to see what's going on. Other than the fact that I want to see how this is all going to play out with all this change up stuff and
Yeah, we got a few big events just around the corner. We got Greatest Royal Rumble. We got Backlash. We'll probably
which
talk.
I'm going to watch it, but I'm not really as excited about that. I mean, they got a couple of good matchups in there that I want to see, but I mean, I'm just not as excited as they want me to be.
It's kind of like a big televised house show, basically, is what.
Pretty much.
I mean, it'll be. I mean, a 50-man Royal Rumble sounds like fucking chaos, but so that'll be kind of intriguing.
And it seems like it's gonna, it's long because it's the Royal Rumble. Obviously, you're gonna have that countdown.
Yeah, they're gonna have to sing
50. I mean, sitting through 30 people is like fuck.
You would have to think that they'll probably send a guy in every minute. You know what I mean? Unless they're gonna plan on
they
being
might
there
change
all night.
They might change it from 2 minutes.
Sometimes it's 2 minutes. Sometimes it's a minute and a half. Sometimes they mistime the whole thing and they're like, "Fuck it, we're just gonna send this guy out in like 45 seconds." Like they talk about that on the Pritchard podcast.
It does seem like that, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It's like, oh wait, it's time for another person to come out. Goddamn.
Yeah, exactly. No, they definitely have a little bit of latitude with that, but yeah. So I mean, we'll have another show out next week, so we'll have a chance to talk a little bit more about the greatest Royal Rumble and Backlash predictions and all that good shit. But
Right.
I think for the time being, man, I think we've had ourselves a pretty good show, and it's time to ride off into the sunset.
Well, I know. Wait. Before we go, I know you wanted to talk about something else. On like another wrestling show that I
Ah,
don't watch,
yes. Oh well.
don't particularly care for, and Impact. And not saying that it doesn't have good talent because it does. I just don't really care for
Man,
Impact. So,
Impact is one of those things, dude. I've run hot and cold on Impact so many times. When I was in high school, I was a TNA guy. Like, I wasn't even really as into WWE because TNA was kind of like the little engine that could, and they were building themselves up, and eventually they got that Spike deal and became a pretty big deal. Fucking A, man, these guys are like really onto something, and they were kind of taking over that WCW spot from back in the day. And because I was a WCW guy growing up, but anyway, they obviously they fucked up along the way and made a lot of mistakes, and now they're downsizing. But I feel like they're kind of in a place where they're finally starting to move in the right direction a little bit on some things, but then they still.
I have noticed that they started doing a lot more with a lot of people from Lucha Underground, and I think that's cool because I like Lucha Underground. Lucha Underground's awesome.
Well, it goes back to what we talked about, kind of wrestling, kind of going back into the cycle of territories again, because now it seems like the smaller companies are working together to create more opportunities. And I actually had a chance to watch the majority of the WrestleCon show that they did, where they ran Impact versus Lucha at the Sugar Mill in New Orleans. And it was actually a pretty good show, dude. I mean, I didn't see the whole thing. There's still more for me to go back.
I watched a little bit of the Austin Aries and Pentagon Jr.
and Phoenix match.
And Phoenix match. I saw a little bit of that before Ashley came home.
Well, now that Del Rio got like whatever, went on like a coke bender or whatever the fuck he did and no showed, and they fired him.
Again,
they're doing a rematch of that match for the title at the Impact pay-per-view as the main event.
I think that's going to be an awesome fucking match myself.
Oh, yeah. As a fan, I mean I get that Del Rio, I guess, probably has more name value to like a casual fan, which is part of the reason why they put him in that spot. But dude, I mean, there's no question that the match is going to be a lot better,
Right, exactly. With those three, I mean, just from what I saw, like the little bit that I saw. It was actually turning out to be a really good match, Oh,
I can believe it with those three guys involved, and I feel like, them getting the big stage on a pay-per-view is going to be a good thing. And I'm just in general, Impact and Lucha are two companies. You could call them indies, but they're like kind of like bigger indies. Of course, Lucha kind of being an offshoot of AAA, and Impact, being what they are. I think that the partnership is good for all parties involved because, those Lucha guys add a lot to the show, and, they get a little bit of exposure to a different audience on the Impact side of things. So, it's good that these companies are kind of realizing, like, look, we're not really enemies. We're, there's enough pie for everybody. We just got to, team up.
And honestly, I feel like if they partner up and all that stuff with Lucha Underground's kind of like storytelling and production, considering that it's Robert Rodriguez's baby, I feel like if Impact and them continue doing something, then the crossover value of it would be like pretty fucking awesome.
Oh yeah,
because if you can have it done the way that Lucha does it, and have some Impact people come in over there, or maybe just like merge the whole thing together and just there you go, it would be pretty fucking awesome.
Definitely,
I'd actually start watching Impact.
Yeah, and then you throw New Japan in the mix. I mean that could be something.
Oh,
obviously, they've got Don Callis is running TNA now, and he's obviously got some kind of relationship with a lot of, with Kenny Omega and a lot of the New Japan guys.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I'm not saying that that's going to happen, but, I mean, dude, stranger things have happened, I mean, if all these, basically if you create another national wrestling alliance.
Like territory. I think that's the only way you could take the big company down is if you actually formed a new territory system.
Right.
Where you have, and you know what, honestly, there was this one thing that I saw on there, and I think this could be like the thing that helps them out the most. And I feel like it would help if they take the NWA title and make it the traveling belt that it was
Right.
back then,
Right.
and make that like, I mean, that is to me, still to this day, to me, that is the world title.
Right.
You know, that is the world title.
Yeah.
You know, Ric Flair held that fucker for God knows how long. The NWA title is the world title.
And it's not even necessarily about taking WWE down. It's like, dude, there's so many
No.
there's so many disenfranchised wrestling fans out there, people that were into it back in the day and just fell out of it because they got tired of it or whatever, or their favorite company went under. And it's like, to me, if you get enough momentum together and just create a viable alternative and just show people, like, look, there's more to wrestling than just WWE. If you're into something that's less kiddie, that's more, presented more
Right.
seriously as a sport, or just an alternative, then there's definitely a lot of money to be made.
Right. And that's my thing. I like don't get me wrong, I like WWE. I was one of the ones that jumped ship from WCW to WWE when Tony Schiavone made the mistake of saying that Mankind won.
Yeah.
But like, and from there on in, I was like, okay, I'm down with WWE. So, but even then, it's like I like to get out of WWE for a little bit. I like to go and watch New Japan, because I feel like New Japan is a lot more of a sport. They present it as a sport because they take it they take it seriously over there,
Yeah.
And I feel like it has more of honestly, I feel like it has more of a prestige than the WWE title does. Their belts have more prestige and all that stuff than the WWE title does.
Well, yeah,
I feel
like
they
they don't hot shot the belt around. A lot of times, guys have long reigns, and they
long,
don't defend it all the
right.
time. So when they do, it's a big deal.
And I find that because New Japan has come aboard with certain with like Ring of Honor and all that stuff, and I feel like Ring of Honor is like doing a lot of stuff with Impact, or I don't know if they're doing anything with Impact. I think they're trying to make their own thing, but no, like Lucha Underground doing things with it, like all this territorial stuff where people go and they don't just settle for one fucking promotion. They can go from this promotion to this promotion, that promotion to that promotion. I feel like that's the way it should do. That it should be. It's the way that it was before, and that's why WWE is so stale right now.
Yeah.
I'm sorry I'm going on this rant, but
No.
I mean, like I said, it's
right.
a carnival. It's a carnival aspect, when it comes to wrestling. And there's another thing that was like that I'm really that I think I'm qualified to talk about. But there's another aspect of the carnival that, and that's haunted houses and like things like that. If you have a haunted house that's stuck in just one thing, it's going to get stale. Like, take, for example, we live in Louisiana, the mortuary. The mortuary is just this one building, and it has 3 stories, and that's all they have to work with.
Yeah.
And if you go in there and you walk through the house one year, and then you go back the next year, regardless of how you switched it around, it's still the same 3 fucking floors.
It's the same setup.
Thing, right? Exactly. So that's how I feel like WWE is.
Right.
Regardless of how much superstar shakeups you're gonna do and where you're gonna place these people and all that stuff, you got this one fucking company, and that's all it is. Regardless, it doesn't matter if it's 2 shows. It's one fucking company that is stagnant. It's stuck because it doesn't. It's not. Because it wants to be its own thing instead of just following the way that it should be, and that's going by, all right, so you got these people who fucking have your titles, AJ Styles and all that stuff. You say they're the best. Well, fucking go out there and fucking prove it. You're not proving shit by facing people that, are already in the company to begin with.
Yeah. Well, and it's just
territory.
Yeah.
I just feel like territory. That's what we're talking about. In all honesty, is territories are needed.
Yeah.
I think that the whole demolishing of the territory system is the downfall. Was the downfall of wrestling to begin with?
Yeah, we need fresh perspective. We need people that have different ideas. And the thing about WWE is they're kind of like McDonald's. You know what I mean? They're like they're like the franchise of pro wrestling, and they've created a formula that's been very successful for them. The problem is that they've continued to follow that formula ad nauseum to a point where people are tired of it now. People are looking for something fresh, and I'm glad that there's a lot more stuff out there. As a matter of fact, this podcast should be dropping on 420, and so that means that we got another alternative, MLW, debuting on beIN Sports tonight. So that's going to be another viable alternative. I mean, a lot of indie guys are going to be on the cards, and
Right.
it's gonna be awesome. I'm excited about the future because even if you're not into WWE, there's so many alternatives out there that there's gonna be something for everybody.
Right.
So,
Well,
yeah, man, I feel like that's a good note to leave it on.
absolutely. I feel like that is too. I've done had my rant.
Yeah, man, it's all good. So before we go, just want to remind everybody out there, we are now on iTunes. You can subscribe to us there. Just search Revenge of the Marks podcast. We're also on Stitcher. You can search the same thing there if you do your podcasting through that. You can follow us on Facebook and Twitter. We are at Revenge Pod and Facebook.com/Revenge Pod. So throw us a like, subscribe, follow us, keep up to date with future shows, what we got going on out there. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Man, we're growing and getting out there and getting after it. And, we can't do it without you. So continue to spread the word of mouth and keep the momentum going if you don't mind. All right. Well, I am Dane Campbell.
And I am Damian Black. Respect the marks.
That's right. And we will see you next week. We're out. See ya.
They say all men are created equal, but you look at me and you look at Small Joe, and you can see that statement is not true. See, normally if you go one-on-one with another wrestler, you got a 50-50 chance of winning. But I'm a genetic freak, and I'm not normal. So you got a 25% at best at beating me. And then you add Kurt Angle to the mix, your chances of winning drastically go down. See, the three-way at Sacrifice, you got a 33 1/3 chance of winning. But I got a 66 2/3 chance of winning because Kurt Angle knows he can't beat me, and he's not even going to try. So, Samoa Joe, you take your 33 1/3 chance minus my 25% chance, and you got an 8 1/3 chance of winning at Sacrifice. But then you take my 75% chance of winning, if we used to go one-on-one, and then add 66 2/3%, I got 141 2/3 chance of winning at Sacrifice. See, Joe, the numbers don't lie, and they spell disaster for you at Sacrifice.